It's hard to explain just how difficult it is to start a video. This shit always boggles my mind. It feels like I don't really know how to speak, and it takes me a couple of tries to be able to finally have like a flow going for myself and have a stream of thought that I am able to then verbalize. I don't know if this will ever get easier. I hope this will get easier. I think I just need to make more YouTube videos more frequently. Maybe I can put that in my planner, which is what I'm going to talk about today. So last year was a very formative year for me. And I love to be able to say that. Last year was the first year that I actually started using a planner, which is something that I never really thought I would ever get around to doing. I never really thought that a dated notebook would fit into my life or fit in with my personality. And it's just so happened that a dated notebook is exactly what I needed, which did shock me. But at the same time, like as I used it, I was like, this makes a lot of sense given who I am and what I'm trying to do with my life. So given that we've entered a new year and all of us have limited expendable energy in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, I think that we should all collectively start using a planner. I'm going to use this video to try to make a case a little bit for using a planner, because a lot of people who have seen me use my planner tend to get kind of intimidated by, I wouldn't even say intimidated, they probably they're most likely always like, oh, I don't think like a planner is for me, or I think like a dated journal is just like too much for me to keep track with. I don't really know if I have the energy or the ability to be able to do that and to be able to look at something every day. I know that by the time that this video goes up, it's already going to be like halfway through January, and a lot of planners start from December. My planner started in the last week of November. I understand that you're going to be starting off like relatively far into a new planner. That's fine. There's always ways to use empty pages in your planner, and that's another thing that I'm going to talk about in this video. So I kind of want to talk about my planning system last year compared to this year. I have my phone set up. I don't know if you can see. Oh yeah, it's definitely in frame. My phone is set up with my two planners in front of me. So as I talk about my planners, you will also like see them, and you kind of maybe start to notice some patterns as to how I approach using a planner. So this is my last year's planner. It's the Odd Giraffe 2024 planner. It's beautiful. The cover is like this beautiful like floral pattern, almost like watercolor illustration. And this is my current planner, which is the Hobonichi Techo Weeks. You can see like very obvious differences between the two planners like immediately. This one is like a fucking like quarter of the size or third of the size that my old planner was. It's also a lot thinner. This one's like a lot bulkier. I like to keep my planner on me all the time, especially because I spend most of my time at like work or at my partner's place. My partner loves to do planning shit as well, so we just do planning shit together, and so it's just a lot more convenient to have it on me. This did not allow for that at all. This is literally the size of a wallet. and so it's a lot lighter. Additionally, I stick a lot of like notes and little stickers in my planner, so like you can already see how things are going. Like I stick so many little stickers in my planner, even in my notes, and there's all the stuff like in the back that I like to keep. So there's all these little bits of pieces of paper and stickers that really increase the weight of your planner as you use it. This one weighs like, I think like over half a kilogram, whereas this one is not really ever going to get close to the weight that this one is. It's so much easier to carry, it's so much more compact. So let me just skip the part of the planner that has my address on it. So we first start off with like the calendar. Now already with my Hobonichi Techo weeks, the calendar is like a lot better in my opinion, because it has like this year, next year, it also has the previous year's calendar. I just find that this is just way too much space to spend on stuff that I don't really ever check. The celebrations part with the important dates, there's so many months here that I didn't even fill. Like there aren't really any important dates for me, at least on some months compared to others, and it's just kind of nice that I can put all of my important dates just where my calendar is, so I can easily even situate them on the calendar. And I just find that this was a little bit too much. It was too many pages for something that I spend very, very little time on. Then we move on to this part of my planner that isn't really in my current planner, and it's called like the goodness, and it occurs on every single month. You can see that I've actually used it, and I've done a pretty good job with using it like every single month. Like over here, I've like actually filled it up, and like as you even proceed into the later months, I've actually kind of done a pretty good job at filling it up. But the thing is that that page never really even mattered to me that much because of the way that I do my monthly views. This is like a pretty accurate example of what my monthly views would look like. I use my monthly views the way that I would use this goodness section. So this was getting a little bit redundant, because yes, it was me talking about one nice thing that happened in a day to experience gratitude or whatever it is, but the thing is that that's exactly how I would use my monthly views. That's why it's so much more colorful. If anything, with my monthly views, I'm able to really bring that feeling to life with like all the color that I put in there and like all of the stickers that I use in there. Like there's just so much feeling and depth to this compared to this, and a lot of the times like the things that I would put here are the exact things that I would put here, which is why I felt the need to go for a much simpler planner this year. The way that I did my monthly views in my previous planner is something that I've retained in my current planner. And another thing that I love about the Hobonichi Techo weeks is that it starts on a Monday, whereas my last planner went from Sunday to Friday or Saturday, my bad. And the amount of times that I've made mistakes because I've assumed that the month starts from Monday. So I've put things that I've wanted to do on a Monday on the Sunday tab. I never, ever perceive a week as starting from a Sunday. I always perceive a week as starting from that Monday. I love that they did that with the Hobonichi Techo weeks. And to be fair, like Odd Giraffe is a much newer company than Hobonichi. Hobonichi is quite an old notebook, planner, stationery company compared to Odd Giraffe. So I just feel like they have a better gauge on like what planner users want. Then we move on to the weekly views. So that's the really cool part about this planner, is that they give you like an entire spread for your weeks, which gives me a much more accurate view as to how I'm actually going to be spending the time in that week. They kind of did that with this planner as well. You can see that as I go towards the later months, I start to use it less because it gets really overwhelming. It does go from Monday to Sunday, and it's like the entire spread for 1 week, which is the same as this, but what I like is that they list all the days here and then kind of give you like an empty page on the right hand side. I kind of perceive this page as going like horizontally versus this page is going vertically. As I kind of get into the groove of things, I realize that like, you know, I use this side for like stickers and like other notes, but I use this side for like actual things that are happening within that day. And another thing that I love about this planner is how easy it is to fill up the pages. I love when my pages look filled and just like sprawling with information and images and text and color a planner like this really helps me fill out the pages very, very easily. So there's just so much life to these pages, and it really looks like it's being used. Literally, the entire month of December is just filled with it's just filled up. It's just filled up with stuff. And I love to see a notebook of mine like filled with information. I'm even gonna try to add images or scans of my partner's planner because I love the way that she does her planner. It's completely different from mine. It's less like cutie, cutie, pinky, pinky, but it still has this really sick aesthetic to it, really, really sick vibe to it. So even the weekly views is something that I really prefer in the Hobonichi Techo weeks. Finally, we get to the end of the weeks where you have like abbreviations for commonly used terms, which is also really helpful because you don't have like a lot of space within these two pages. So sometimes you will need the abbreviations just to be able to make your planning and the way that you write a lot more resourceful. And then as you proceed, I believe you have like 73 pages of just notes. I've already gone into page 4. I do have a bunch more pages left. Like 73 pages is really enough for me. And again, you can tell that I really like to fill up the pages. I also love that the notes section is just one booklet of empty pages, empty grid pages that are towards the end. So with my old planner, they give you like these 2 note pages at the end of each month. So as you get towards the end, before the next month starts, you get your notes section. I've noticed that like I barely ever really use the notes section in my old planner because I didn't really like that they were also separated from one another. Like if I'm going to get undated notes, then I would much rather them just all be together after the actual planner part is done with. I kind of treat it as like a notebook that's a part of my planner as opposed to little note pages that are sporadically like placed in between the planner. In terms of like additional things that the Hobonichi Techo gives you, one thing that they first give you is like the using things around you to measure size section, which I think is really cute. I've yet to do it. Like I've yet to actually measure these things and like put the length down here, but like I fully intend on doing that. As you proceed, you have like your favorites, which is another thing that I'm excited to explore. You have your My 100. And then you have like these cute little like symbols and icons that I have actually used. I think I copied like the plain one and the flower bouquet. There was like a bouquet one somewhere over here. I can't find it. Maybe because I'm not wearing my glasses and I'm kind of blind right now. And then you have like a little like noodle section, which is so fucking cute. Like I do need a noodle guide actually in my planner. Now, in terms of the extras, like the extra things that my old planner gave, there was a lot of like sentimental stuff. So like there was like a monthly check-in. As you get into the beginning of the month, like there's all this other stuff, monthly goals and like feel good goals. Honestly, I don't really care about that stuff that much. I am not that sentimental of a person where I'm going to like actually sit and write down my feel good goals because I feel like I don't really understand what the difference is between a feel good goal and just like a regular goal. So I never really use those, and especially as I progressed into as I progressed into the month, you can see that I'm getting quite angry at the fact that these pages even exist in my planner because it's just taking up all this extra space and really like hard for me to keep up with. I don't really have time for all of this like overtly sentimental stuff. Like I am a sentimental person and I like having my planner because I'm a sentimental person. Like I love the fact that my planner allows me to document like the most minute stupid shit that happens in my life, but I think of it as noteworthy and hence I write it down. That is the way that I express my sentimentality, but it'll never be as literal as just like, oh, write down your feel good goals.
Apologies, my camera decided to stop recording for a little bit, but I was basically just talking about how the feel good goals and the monthly check-in sections just weren't working out for me in my previous planner. They were taking up a lot of space and were making it hard for me to fill up the pages. But in the next section, I talk about my habit tracker and how that really worked out for me and how I'm going to carry that on to my current planner, my next planner, 2025. Thank you.
So this is just my habit tracker for 1 month. Loved the habit tracker, by the way. This is certainly something that I'm going to keep using into this year. Hobonichi Techo Weeks doesn't necessarily have like a habit tracker, but it does have this page, which I've sort of turned into a habit tracker. Love this page because all 12 months are just in this one spread. So I'm able to track all of my things in one spread. And as you can see, I assigned like either a green or a red dot for whether or not I did the thing. Whereas in this one, I'll only put a dot that is in accordance to the color that it's been assigned. If I exercise that day, I'll put a purple dot. If I took my meds that day, I'd put like a gray dot. So that's how I'm imagining I will do my habit tracking in the Hobonichi. It's definitely going to be a lot more crammed and it might even be a little bit more difficult. And this is certainly something I'm just trying out for right now. So we'll see how it goes with the Hobonichi. But if it doesn't go well, then I can even create a habit tracker in my notes section. But I have a feeling that this will work pretty well because I only have these 7 things to keep a track of, and I'm pretty confident that I can fit 7 dots. Like, let's just say there's a day where I did every single thing, all 7 of these things. I have a feeling I will be able to fit 7 dots in one of these cells. I don't think that should be a problem. Now, earlier in the video, I had said something about empty planner pages and how to go about using empty planner pages. There are many solutions for that. One is just like drawing and creating tiny comics, using that empty space to write like bigger notes, or even using stickers. Like, there's so many things that you can do with the empty pages. We recently gifted a planner to a friend and he started it in January. However, the planner started from December. So what we did was we used the December monthly view to just write a note to him, like a short little letter, and put like stickers and shit on it. There are ways to use empty pages, especially if it's not that many empty pages. Like December, the monthly view is literally just one spread. You can always just like make up your own rules and figure out what to do with those empty pages. Do cool little collages in them or just draw on them. Like, there's so many just pages here in which I've just drawn something. Like, even over here, just like experimenting maybe with like a new art medium like watercolors or color pencils or something, like doing something interesting with them. So that's kind of like a tour, I guess, of my planner. I hope I explained it cohesively enough, but just as a summary, what I will be doing in my new planner, let's just get this out of the way, is obviously like maintaining the monthly views, maintaining my habit tracker, although just making it a bit more condensed. And as far as the new things go, I have a completely new experience with how my weekly views look like, and I just love how filled up they are. Oh my god. And then towards the end, I just have random notes. Like, it's so much simpler than my old planner, I feel like. And also, like, do you see the amount of extra things I can add into my planner? Like, I have this foldable ruler, which not only works as like a ruler, but it also works like a bookmark. And that's primarily what I use it for even. It's so awesome. And then towards the end, like thanks to the Hobonichi cover on cover, I can put like stickers here, little notes, and then I have like post-its in here and here. And the Hobonichi Techo Weeks, the Mother 2 edition, comes with this little folder. It's so sick, and I have a couple more post-it notes in here, which is awesome. Love it. Amazing. So that's kind of like what my planner looks like, and I really cannot suggest enough getting a planner. I think that going into this new year, we really are trying to do things, but the only way that we can realistically do things is if we track the energy that we're expending. It's good to be realistic about that by keeping a planner. I think that's like probably like the easiest way to be able to keep track of how much energy you even have in a day. I just love how I can see like the number of people that I hung out with, or even just smaller things that happen. Like, you know, like I literally have a cell here that says Ro is sick. Ro is my partner. Like, I've literally just like kept a tab on when my partner, like when my loved ones are sick. It might not even be important in the long run, but it's me archiving aspects of my life. I love the word archive, by the way. I love how serious it sounds, even though it just basically means like it's just a collection of like records in whatever medium, like any medium. In this case, it's just aspects of my life, people that I hang out with. It's more like you're taking your life more seriously. I just find that like having a planner and like jotting down things that happen in a day or a month or a week makes it so that I'm able to even understand myself a little bit better, given that this is probably going to be like my most serious and thorough record of what happened in any given year. Like, I know I'm gonna keep this forever. Like, imagine like I go through this 30 years from now and I just see all these little things that I spent my time on and these little hangouts that I had and coffee dates that I had. It's just such a beautiful collection of experiences that you're able to just track so easily. I mean, even the parts that are just like filled with stickers and stuff, it's like, that's cute that these were the stickers that I owned during this time of my life. Like, everything becomes instantly meaningful. So another aspect of planning that has also been introduced to my life like late last year, the idea of a digital closet. So I downloaded this digital closet app and I have taken images of all the pieces of clothing that I own, including like my shoes, my jewelry. Most of my closet has been digitized and uploaded into this app. So I'm able to like even plan outfits, because that's another thing that I'm trying to do this year, is like buy as little clothing as humanly possible. And this app has really helped me, like having a digital closet has really helped me not only like plan my outfits, but also help me realize the potential of my clothing and how I can pair different things together. So hopefully on screen right now, you should be able to see like a few of the outfits that I've planned and like kind of like a glimpse into like how I want to like extend on this planner stuff into other aspects of my life as well. I really don't think I would have been able to even like do any of this, the digital closet stuff, if it weren't for like me having a planner in the first place. It's another thing that's just been added into my life, like via having a planner. I've noticed that like organizing everything for the sake of like living a fuller life, organizing things within your life as much as you can. I feel like I couldn't talk about this enough. I can't talk about like how having a planner and like actually consistently using this dated diary has really changed my life for the better and really helped me take my life more seriously and take my work and my hobbies so much more seriously. Not in a way where I take myself like too seriously. It's more so just like, okay, I'm a person that should be living my life to the fullest. And the only way that I can really sit and understand how to live my life to the fullest is if I actually write this stuff down. Writing is amazing. Writing really helps you to look at yourself, to hold up a mirror to yourself and see how you can do more, and honestly how you can even be better. Like, it's just so simple. It takes up very little time of your day, and it's honestly such a lovely way to start your day. Like, I love starting my day with my planner, and I don't just start my day with it, it kind of like carries on to the rest of my day as well. But you can do whatever you want with it. If you're not this kind of person, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You don't have to be that kind of person. You don't have to be this like person who likes the chubby text and the hues of pinks. You can be like a far more like just black and gray, black and white kind of person and like make it your own, you know? Like, I just love to see how people have taken this exact same format of a dated planner, but then have adapted it to their own aesthetics, like their own approach. So with that, I think I've said a bunch of stuff. I hope I've made a decent case for having a planner and writing. I hope that you guys are able to document your life in some way, shape, or form. Even if it's not with a planner, it's fine. If this did encourage you to get into that, that's awesome. I guess that's all I have to say. Happy New Year. Mwah. And I will see you all in my next video, which will hopefully be uploaded sooner rather than later. Hopefully. Okay. Bye.